I don't know if the ads finished or not. I didn't see what happened. Hi, Juice Fox. Hi, Jake Fox. Hi, Silver. Hi, Juice. Is Juice here? Yes, Juice is also here. And Maddie and Laggy. I made a spirit today. I promised to watch Madoka Magic. Ooh, like the original anime or like a movie? Is there a second anime? Was there a season 2? There was, wasn't there? With like the other girls? Yeah, we don't know. How far are you? How far are you along? Oh, I didn't bring out my Bit Buddy. I guess I don't need Bit Buddy today. You didn't get any ads. But you're on YouTube. On Twitch we get ads. On Twitch there are ads. The original. Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well on this Saturday morning. We're doing something crazy today. Something so different. Good morning? I guess good afternoon. Good afternoon? Good evening? It's morning somewhere. We're doing something totally different today. And hi, Danya. And I need your participation. Well, I mean, I don't need it, but it'd be nice if you had the participating. Because we're reading Reddit stories today. You went roller skating. We're reading Reddit stories today, which means a lot of opinions, a lot of gasps of horror, a lot of oh my gosh, a lot of all that kind of stuff. We're gonna hopefully I'm gonna be able to upload this on YouTube later. Like I'll edit it, condense it, and then put it up on YouTube. I was banned from Reddit from threatening. Oh no, that's sad. I'm sorry about that. I don't think you would be able to go through with it, so I don't know why you were banned, but imagine Ace Attorney awkward, but since he didn't ask me, what did I ask? Huh? When do we start? Right now. Just kidding, I don't know. After I check in with you guys. So I guess they don't let us threaten rich people. Lame. So what I'm gonna be doing is I have just the best of Redditor updates open that I'm gonna be reading from. I'm picking them at random. So I'm hoping that because it's the best of Redditor updates, it's kind of like vetted. These stories are already vetted, and there's a reason why they're here. Look at the little guys. There used to be a table there. That's where Snigglefritz or Slugcat goes. Should I just have him here? No. I'll just I guess I could crop him out later, right? All right, let's bring him back. Bit buddy. We want a bit buddy. Buddy. You went roller skating. I hope you had fun roller skating. There we go. Okay. The slug cat is now here. Okay. I don't really have a timeline for how long we'll read. I guess we'll just see how it goes. I don't know. I think usually people that do Reddit stories have like a time limit. I think they give themselves like a certain amount of time, or they have a certain amount of people. Hi, Laggy. That's all. That's all. Leggy only wants to say that. When you do the like, is that smaller than or greater than? Greater than? Is it saying that you're greater than? You lost a run. What kind of run? Like a anything is great. That's true. But it is also where I can get good stories about the human experience. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I already pressed on one. I tried to do like a warm-up one yesterday and it was kind of funky wonky. So yeah, we'll get it. We'll get used to it. We'll get used to it. Don't worry, guys. Okay. Okay, listen up. Listen up. The human experience that are kind of people who post in the... Yeah, exactly. The Reddit human experience, specifically. Okay, first story. Let me put this away. My 24 female boyfriend, 26 male, of 6 months told me that I need to unlove the men from my past before I can love him. All right. How would he know? How would he know? I've been dating... You're doing it all wrong? Sorry. I'm making up my own experience, okay? I don't have Subway Surfers. This was posted July 13th, 2019. Where's the Minecraft gameplay? You got... I'll start playing. I'll play Deadlock in the corner for you guys. Okay. Where's the Minecraft? Where's the Family Guy? I haven't seen... Do you remember when those were like really big with the Family Guy shorts or the Simpsons shorts? I'm glad that they filtered those out. I was like, my brain was kind of melting with those. I don't actually see very many Reddit posts. I do see the Minecraft parkour ones, but that's like, would you rather eat a fish every day of your life or get $5,000 every 2 days or something dumb like that, you know? Dumb money. But the fish guarantees you have food. Okay, I have to restart now. You guys goofy. Maybe we should do one of those kinds of streams too. Or we like would you rather. So would you rather streams. Okay. Starting over. Posted on July 13th, 2019. My 24 female boyfriend, 26 male of 6 months told me that I need to unlove the men from my past before I can love him. I've been dating Mark for 16... Oh my god. Okay, reading Reddit posts is so different than reading a Warrior Cat book, by the way. Have fun playing Deltarune! I have to play Deltarune. Okay. I've been dating Mark for 6 months, and I've known him for around 8 months. I just moved to my current city 9 months ago for grad school, and Mark was one of the first people that I became close with. He's been really great and helped me feel comfortable in a new city. Recently, Mark and I said, "I love you" for the first time. Everything was fine for a while until he told me that I was the first person he's ever said that to. I was a little surprised, but not in a bad way, and didn't really make a big deal out of it. He asked me how many other guys I've said it to. I told him one. That seemed to bother him. Mark knows that I'm still occasionally in contact with one of my exes, Eli, and it has never been an issue for Mark. However, after our conversation, Mark asked me if Eli was the ex that I had said I love you to. I was honest and said yes. Background, Eli and I grew up together and dated from when we were 15 to 22. That's a pretty hefty integral time of your brain development. We broke up when I got accepted to grad school and found out I'd have to move across the country because we realized that we had grown into different people and we weren't going to spend our lives together. The breakup was extremely amicable and we remained close friends while I was in town before I moved, and we talk maybe once a week currently, just basic "how are you" texts. Mark asked me how I feel about Eli now. I said that while I don't love him romantically anymore, he was a huge part of my life since childhood, and I still have very positive feelings about him and consider him an important person. Mark kept pressing, asking me if I still love Eli in any sense. I said that no, I'm not in love with him, but Mark almost didn't seem to believe me. He kept prodding me until I finally said that I will probably always love Eli as a person and respect him a lot, that I have no romantic connection to him and fully accept that we are different people now. Mark was upset by this. The next day, Mark told me that he doesn't think I can truly love him unless I learn to unlove the men from my past. I asked what he meant, and again clarified that I am not in love with Eli. And he said that I should retain no love in any form for any other guys I've been with. I was, quite honestly, shocked and tried to explain to him that me loving someone as a friend is totally and completely different than being romantically in love with someone, and that he is the only one I have those feelings for. He insisted that I need to change my feelings about Eli. He almost seemed mad that I'm not resentful over the breakup. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Is this totally weird and out of line, or am I overreacting? Just to be clear, Eli and I talk very sparingly, probably 10 texts a week, if that, just to check in. I have no feelings for him anymore, but he was a huge part of my life for many, many years, and I don't think it's unreasonable for me to have general positive feelings for him. Is Mark out of line, or am I? Edit, just for context, since people are hung up about 10 texts a week, Mark and I easily exchange 50, 100 texts a day, and we see each other multiple times a week, so I consider 10 texts to be brief conversation. It's very surface level, how are you, how's work, type of thing. It's not in depth. TLDR, my boyfriend says I have to unlove my ex before I can love him. I clarify that I love and respect my ex as a person, but I have no romantic feelings for him. Boyfriend is deeply upset. Who is being unreasonable? Curveball after curveball. I could never text it. I don't know. 10 texts isn't that. It depends on what they're saying, too. I mean, like, if you say, hi, how are you? That's already... like 2. If you said, hi, how are you? 2. And then they say, I'm good. 3. How are you? Good. 4. I'm pretty good. Work's been pretty bad. That's 6. Oh, that sucks. 7. Well, my work's been pretty awesome. 8. Oh, haha. Lucky you. 9. That's already 9. Like that's like a nothing combo. Texting someone on 100, it's so much easier to text nowadays. It also depends on what kind of texting you're doing, you know? Like, are you a Discord texter that like just spams text messages or pictures or whatever? Or are you like a normal person texter where you like actually have full combos and stuff? Hello. Discord is not texting. I consider it texting if I have it on my phone. Right? Like, that's texting. I spam images when I don't know what to say. What are y'all talking about? It is! It's totally texting. As for the actual post, I think he's mostly insecure. The dude is insecure. As someone who is a enjoyer of love, and by that I mean I love wholeheartedly and I give it out to very many people and objects and things. I don't know how you can unlove a person, especially someone who is in your life for such big, like, those are like huge milestones happen 15 to 22. Those are massive milestones. Like, your brain is like growing with them, you know? And growing around them. And even though they ended up as different people and then broke it off, there's still like that warmth and love that is with them. So, I mean, like, it's a pretty unreasonable thing to ask someone to just like not love anyone. Somewhere along the way, people forget text communication isn't a live conversation. Think 5 minutes without a response is bad. And I don't see how you could possibly stop loving them in some way. It's like, yeah, I think I'll like always love old friends that I don't talk to anymore. Or like a first crush. There's always like that little like lingering, yes, I love them. But like, obviously, you're not gonna like. I think Mark is mostly worried that she's gonna like up and leave him. Like if Eli propositions that they get back together or something, she'll rekindle this love and it'll blossom into something romantic again or something. Pride, that doesn't count. You're married to your first crush. He's definitely insecure. Yeah. Relevant comments. I personally don't think it's really appropriate to be in contact with your ex as frequently as you are. And that's what Mark is feeding off of. He's going to feel insecure that you spent that much time in a relationship with someone and you still speak incredibly highly of them and remain in contact. If roles were reversed, how would you feel? People are allowed to talk to who they want to. Especially someone you can break off and be friends. What the heck? I see you, noob. Hi, noob. Baka. I understand his fears, you know, like it is intimidating to be in a relationship with someone that had such a significant history with someone and they're still in contact and talking. Like that's a bit scary, but if you're gonna trust, if you're gonna be in a relationship, you have to trust her. Otherwise, there's already something fundamentally wrong. OOP, if roles were reversed, I'd be fine with it. I think the attitude that a lot of people have towards their ex is weird. Presumably, you dated them because you liked something about them, but then you found out it wasn't going to work long term. As long as a breakup is amicable? Why wouldn't you want to remain friends? I don't understand why we're supposed to cut people out if we're not romantically compatible. Also, if someone played an important role in your life and brought good things into your life, I see absolutely no problem with acknowledging that. I don't get why it's more acceptable to hate your ex or speak badly about them than it is to acknowledge that they are a good person. But it just didn't work out. Yeah. Exactly. OP knows what they're talking about. It's what was I listening to? I was listening to someone and they were talking about how friend breakups can sometimes be worse than an actual like relationship breakup, because when you break up with a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to talk to each other anymore. It just means that you don't see yourself living with that person. Like it could just be like, okay, well, I like all of this about you, but you wear stinky socks all the time. And I can't live with a stinky sock haver, you know? But if it's like your friend, then it's like they came into your life to be with, like, because they enjoy being around you. And then if you break off with your friend, there's nothing really, they're gone. I second that. Just because some people can't draw those lines doesn't mean nobody can. Am I cooked? You're cooked. I'm sorry. I mean, personally, I'm really happy that people like you are out there. No, I've seen a lot of people who are the opposite. Like yesterday, where I saw someone, really? Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope that it seems like it ruined your day. If it's still sticking around with you, I can assure you the opposite of what they said, probably. The closest friend group I was in decided they didn't want to be friends, and I spent like a year and yeah, it's rough. It's like, those are your people. That's sad. Welcome back, Jake! Someone... And then the original replier replied to the OOP. I also want to add that I think Mark's unloving comment is ridiculous. That's a part of your life before Mark ever came into it. And he can't take that from you or alter it. And it is okay that you still love Eli in some way. Mark probably doesn't wrap his head around that because you are his first love. Wow, that person, like changed their entire idea of the comment after that. What's the actual question? The question being asked is, am I unreasonable with thinking that this is kind of out of line? Oh, what the heck? Like a streamer told you that? Don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, she is not being unreasonable. You can have, this is another reply. You can have positive feelings for an ex and remain on friendly terms, but talking to them weekly is a little much. I get that it's sparingly, but if the situations were reversed, would you be comfortable if he texted his ex every week? A lot of people are doing that. Like, would you be comfortable though? And it's like, yeah, if I'm assured in my relationships, then yes. The man to unlove your ex, however, is ridiculous. We all have pasts. You've already explained your feelings as platonic, and he's taking it to the extreme. If you want to save your current relationship, stop texting this ex weekly and see if that helps. If he won't let go of his argument, it might be time to find someone who's less insecure. I do understand what you're saying. However, just a side note, Mark works on a 2-person team with his ex and sees her every day in the office. Okay. They're not necessarily friends, but they have friendly relationship. It's never bothered me. So I do think it's fair to say I would not care if the situation were reversed. Interesting. It wasn't a streamer? You were playing Roblox? Oh. Well, Roblox is a war zone, so that's yucky. Still, that sucks. When I'm playing Deadlock and people go on the voice chat and they say mean things, I get defensive too. I get defensive, like, not for me, but for my other teammates. Like, even if I don't know them, I'm like, how dare you? How dare you insult this person I have known for 3 minutes and have not spoken to once in my life? Who do you think you are? True, it is. Okay, update 1 month later. Figured I'd update my post from about a month ago. Unfortunately, there wasn't a happy ending. Oh, they must have broken up. But I am very grateful for a lot of the advice I received here. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me keep my head on straight. After I made my first post, I read all the comments and thought about everything for a few days. A lot of people mentioned that they would not be comfortable with the frequency of my communication with my ex. I thought that was very fair. People also mentioned that Mark's behavior was pretty controlling and not okay. I also thought that was fair. I went to talk to Mark and told him that I understood if he was uncomfortable with me being in touch with Eli weekly, and that I would be totally willing to cut that down. I also reiterated again that I was not currently in love with Eli and haven't been for a while. Mark was understanding this time and seemed happy with the fact that I offered to cut down my contact with Eli. But then I told Mark that although I was willing to do this, I wasn't happy with how he approached the issue and that I found his behavior controlling. I basically told him I want to approach issues in a more rational way, and I would appreciate if he opened a dialogue rather than just telling me what to do, and that I wouldn't put up with him trying to command me to do something, especially something so ridiculous. I said everything in the same tone as I used for the first half of the conversation. I wasn't yelling at him or admonishing him, just trying to let him know where my boundaries are. You guys, Mark flew off the handle. Oh no. He started screaming at me. I obviously wasn't having it, so I got up to leave. He started throwing dishes and random kitchen items at me and grabbed me and slammed my head into the door jamb. Excuse me? I ended up with a nasty black eye and a busted lip. Luckily for me, a neighbor heard the commotion and called the cops. Mark was arrested and I was taken to the hospital. Yes, I'm pressing charges and filing for a restraining order. Police toxic Reddit relationship. Holy. Why would that? Why are people so weird? Overall, it was a horrible experience. Yeah, that sounds. But I'm glad this happened earlier in the relationship rather than later. And I am forever grateful for the neighbor who called the cops. I'm also grateful to most of you guys for telling me that I wasn't being insane in my first post and for pointing out early warning signs. It wasn't the best ending, but I'm okay and I'm glad that it's over.
Nono,
Take this
hey,
as a
you're
cautionary
reading what I
tale.
read before bed.
Hi, Abby! Thank you for the repop, pop, 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 pop. Take this as a cautionary tale, I guess. TLDR tried to have a rational conversation with Mark. He gave me a black eye and a busted lip. It's over. Thank God. Got a lot of concerned messages telling me to watch out for Mark now that and that abusers are often at their most dangerous right after a breakup. Just to ease everyone's mind, I'm staying with a classmate who Mark does not know for the time being, so I'm well protected. Thanks, everyone. The thing about Reddit stories is that we're only looking at what they're giving us, and perhaps if we were in the same room or we knew this person and we heard the tone in which he said, I need you to stop unloving your ex, we would be like, this guy's off his rockers. You know, we don't get the tone in which he says that, so we're only able to view it like very, you know, on the page kind of thing. Like, he said that, that's weird. All right, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But if we were in person and we heard him say it, we could probably determine with a non-biased opinion, like, all right, buddy. All right, buddy. That's a bit too much. If you have a new partner, you should stop loving your ex. Plus sign. Everything before doesn't matter. That was truly a wild ride. We have so many options to choose from. What should I do? This one was posted 2 minutes ago. Should I read the one that was posted 2 minutes ago? Choose a horror story. I can't choose. I don't know what it would be. All right. I, 19 female, drove 2 hours to surprise my boyfriend, 19 male, and found out he left for the week. Every alarm bell is going off and instincts is telling me that he's up to something bad, but his story is backed up by all his friends. What should I do here? Interesting. Our boyfriend, 19 male? Yeah, our boyfriend. My boyfriend. October 6th, 2021. So, oh God, it's like 5 years ago now. Ugh. My boyfriend. So this event is going on as we speak, and I need help so I don't do something really dumb and freak out. So it's me and my boyfriend's first year away at school. We are both from Flagstaff, and I went to school at U of A, and he went to ASU. About 2 hours apart, and so far we've both made the drive many times, and it's worked out great. Uh-oh, my state. They're here. My class was canceled tomorrow, so I decided it would be fun to go to Victoria's Secret, get some candles and massage lotion, and surprise him tonight. I got to his dorm and saw that his car was in the parking lot and figured I had some time to get it cleared with his roommate and surprise my BF. I texted his roommate and asked if I could let myself in, and he said of course, but my boyfriend had gone to San Diego for the rest of the week. I was like, what? His parents have a house in Imperial Beach, but he always wants me to go with him. I called him and he said that yes, he was going to IB, but he was still in Temp? I don't know these American late places. Getting some stuff together. I asked him if I could come with him. He said no, it was just a boys' trip. I told him that I was actually in his dorm parking lot and wanted to surprise him. He gave me this very condescending, oh, that's nice. I I asked, could he at least please come by and see me, or could we meet up since I went through a lot of work to put this together? Didn't you just do it though? He just dismissively said, no, I can't. We're already on the I-10. Then he said that maybe he could come up to Tuscan next weekend, but I should either just drive on to Flag or go back to Tuscan and basically hung up. I looked at him on Find My Friends, and it turns out he was literally passing by his dorm as we were talking and not on the highway. He could have easily stopped by and said hello, and this really hurt. Maybe it was stupid, but I called his friends, and they said that yes, he was on his way to IB. The thing that's so sus is that none of them are going, and it's some random friend he's going with that none of them have ever met, but that I shouldn't be suspicious. It's like all of them were coached into saying the right thing in short notice because they all said the same thing. I mean, I guess I could look at it like they all said the same thing because it's the truth, right? But every one of my alarm bells is going off. This is so unlike him. Even if we were going to IB, he would tell me first. This is the first time he's ever gone without telling me or without inviting me. Maybe I'm being the young, dumb, paranoid girlfriend, but my instincts are telling me something is up. I'm so lost and hurt. What should I do here? Edit. I took some of my friend's Xanax to help me sleep, and this totally blew up overnight. Since people are still posting, I guess I should update. He never answered any of my calls. I think I called him 3 times. He did text me goodnight and told me he loved me, and he wants to spend the day surfing, but IB is shut down for wastewater, so he's going to be in the car and may not be able to talk. I guess maybe those are good signs, but I'm being paranoid. I'm being paranoid. I don't know. My gut is telling me something is so messed up. I'm just gonna sit around and cry and try not to let my head explode by watching TikToks. He's cheating! 100% cheating! Bill. Direct hit in lag, you said. I mean, it does sound like he's cheating, but there isn't enough info. Yeah, it is. She does seem like a bit... Again, this is a tone thing, right? He gave me this very condescending, oh, that's nice. Like, that could be said a lot of different ways, in my opinion. And I don't know. I was there. I saw him 100% cheating. What if he's meeting his childhood friend? What if it's something like really obscure, you know, like he's meeting his childhood friend and they used to love each other, and now they don't love each other. They used to go surfing together, and he doesn't want to tell her in case she gets jealous, but they're not in love anymore, but you know. Come from men to cover each other cheating so the testaments don't mean anything. It could also be he's in a giant group chat with them and he was just like, yeah, tell her if anyone asks, I'm gonna be on the beach this weekend. And they're all just copy pasting that response. Like he only told the one thing, so that's the one thing that they know to say. Everyone is in love with their childhood friends. That's wrong. I had a childhood friend and I dislike her immensely, and she's not my friend anymore. You could be preparing a birthday surprise for all we know. You're so right, Silver. Relevant comments. Yeah, he's probably messing around. If he was driving past you and you're talking as you're taking and didn't stop, it's because he didn't want you to see who was with him in the car. His dismissive tone was for the person he was riding with. Oh, that's something. Reassuring them that you're not special to him. I mean, I can only go by what you wrote, but in the event you're halfway intelligent human being, you know when someone is being fake with you. If it sounded coached, it probably was. You're not overreacting. Trust your gut, girl. Everything you laid out sounds super sus, and I would probably be ready to pull the plug over this BS if I were in your shoes. Dang. Anime told me so. Yes, everything you said makes sense. I feel like I want to barf. That was OP. This is another reply. I keep saying this. You don't need to catch him deep inside someone to know he's cheating. The evidence is there. He lied about where he was, his friends were sketch, and he dished you when he could have stopped by to say hi. Also, his general behavior was sketch. You don't owe him a reason. Just dump him. I wonder how long they were together. It doesn't say, does it? They're still so young, you know? OP says, I wish it were that easy. I do love him and I can't imagine him not being in my life. I'm not without pride though, and if it sucks having driven 4 hours and put a long effort into surprising him and now he won't answer his phone. Yeah. But then also, I guess we're so filled with like TikToks of I surprised my boyfriend, my long distance boyfriend, and this is how he reacted, and then they're like gasping and hugging each other and stuff. Although honestly, if he wasn't excited to see, you know what? You're right. If they're like they don't see each other very often. There's like 4 hours between them, and he didn't even sound excited. Like I mean, like if he's like I would sound disappointed. Like, oh man, what the heck? You're here? I just left to go on the highway, you know? Like something like that, you know? Like, ah! And if she even like looked at the thing and he drove past, I would go see her. She's right there. I get not being thrilled with the surprise too, like especially if like it's stressful. Like I like having context, and if you're not a surprise person, it sucks. But did I say context? I like having a heads up if someone's gonna be in my space, you know? What is the know my friend? Find my friend? I think it's for like safety precautions. A lot of girls have them. Gorp. Okay, another comment. I mean, sure, it was poopy of him not to at least say hi, but he didn't know you were coming, so it's not unusual that he would have plans. Do you really believe your boyfriend is the kind of person to tell all his friends to lie on his behalf to go where? To cheat on you? What exactly are you worried about? If you can't trust your partner, I'd start questioning whether you should continue dating them. Hello! Gonna go sweep Eepy. OP said, we sort of did have tentative plans to go hiking this weekend, but he said he was going to call me when he got to IB. I guess that everyone having the exact story, a friend that I never met, and that he was actually close by and not willing to say hello makes me feel so sus. Yeah, if you can't trust your partner, that's not great. Girl, block his number and never contact him again. OP, I wish it were that easy. Our older sisters are like inseparable best friends. Our little brothers are on mountain bike teams together. My parents are good friend with his. This is one of those relationships where we all know each other. Well, then he's gonna mess everything up if he was cheating, huh? As an aside, I did call his older sister and she didn't know where he was going. He was going to their IB house either and says he should have asked their parents first. Even shadier. Ooh. With crippling loneliness, and all my friends did tell me to end stream. Oh no! That's terrible. They're not your friends then. It's really common for men to cover each other's cheating. I think is it the bro code? I don't know actually. Update 2 days later. So I basically have been sitting around clicking refresh until this post, and then it was a link of that post. Refreshing until this post was exactly 48 hours old because after everything I found out, I feel like I'm gonna burst. I've cried more than I ever thought I could. I've spent hours on the phone with my mom, my sister, his sisters, my friends, and on and on and on. Nothing helps. Huh? Maybe writing this will. Well, for sure he had another girl with him. He was caught red-handed by our sisters, who've been best friends their entire lives. They decided they needed a trip to the beach house just as much as he did, so they drove out yesterday morning. They popped in, and sure enough, it was he and another girl in the house. Why are you cheering? They were sleeping in separate beds, and he told them, and me now, a million times, that they were just friends who like to surf together. Oh my god, childhood friends who like to surf together? I truly don't know if he slept with this girl. He said he would never, but I do not know that he lied. But I do know that he lied to me when he's never been like this before. He said he didn't tell me he was going with the girl because he knew I would freak out. Not great. I guess the thing is, he's right. I would have become jealous. I would have yelled. I would have gotten upset and acted like a brat, and he would have given in to me. They're so young. They're so young. I don't deserve to be lied to, and he doesn't deserve for me to act like that anymore. So I broke up with him for both our sakes. Yeah, if you can't trust your partner not to freak out if you're gonna hang out with someone, then that sucks. But also, if your partner can't trust, if you can't trust your partner to tell you the truth, it's not great. I give the benefit of the doubt to that scuff. We've known each other forever. His family is like my family. We've been together since we were 14. So they've been together for 5 years. Oof. I love him with everything that I am, but this episode proves that we have sunk into an unhealthy dynamic. He feels he needs to lie to me, and that's horrible. My gut tells me he did not sleep with that girl, and though he promises he's not going to date her now, and he's promises he's not going to date her now, but I guess that's not my business anymore. We'll never be out of each other's lives, so I'll know everything he does, and I feel like I want to barf at the thought of him being with another girl, and sick that I'll hear about it. Ay, ay, ay. I'm hurting like I never thought it was possible, but I know this is the right decision. Maybe if we can both mature, we can try again after college. But right now, it's just time for me to cry for a while and then move on as best I can. That's rough. When you're trying to get over something, the best thing to do is completely cut off them from your life. But if your life is already so integrated with them, it's very difficult. 5 years later update. I've had socks longer. That's true. My chairs, my computer chair's been around longer than that. Final comments. Surely your sister told the girl that your BF had a girlfriend after spotting her, right? I mean, I would hope so. OOP. They said she just sat there silent, not sure what to say. They didn't want to involve her, so they were polite to her, but didn't really talk to her. Throne. Oh, but good news, actually. I'm at my work, we're selling, like, there's this chair that I've been eyeballing, and I asked if it came in a box, and my manager was like, we might have to order in something in a box for you. And I was like, okay. So I might get a new chair. Why is your leg bleeding? Put a Band-Aid on it. Another commenter says, if she's his quote-unquote surfing buddy and you both go to school in AZ, she's been on this trip before. No one in AZ has quote-unquote surfing buddies. It's a landlocked state, and I haven't met very many people here that even know how to surf. OOP. We both grew up surfing and going to the beach at his family's house in Imperial Beach. Wow. Do you have paper towel or maybe toilet paper to put on your bleeding leg? There's a downvoted commenter. Downvoted commenter. Commented on your first post, and I'll ask it again. Do you think your boyfriend is stupid? I mean, that is a serious question. After your boyfriend went to the beach house with his quote-unquote new friend, which is after the two of you have had your blow-up, after he told you where he was going, after all his friends told you where he was going, knowing you could just show up there like you did in your first post, knowing that his family could just show up there like they did, is he stupid enough to cheat with this girl at the exact spot he told you and everyone else he was gonna be at? I mean, come on, is he that dumb? Or is he not that dumb to tell you where and when he was gonna be cheating they were in separate beds and he wasn't cheating, it's still inappropriate, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's cheating unless he's a complete idiot. So I'm just trying to get you to not torture yourself with that thought. I think you made the right decision, though. OOP, I think you actually have some good points, and I hope for the sake of what we had together and the fact that we will always know each other, our moms have been best friends since our oldest sister's first day of preschool, and they are 24 now. Oh, and I thought she was saying her parents are 24 now, and I'm like, what the? That he didn't cheat, but it's not even really that if he did or didn't. He lied to me and wouldn't have reacted well, even if he told me what his plans were. Our relationship wasn't mature and healthy. It hurts so much, but I feel like this is the best thing for both of us. People are, in fact, dumb. It's true! It's true! I don't care how big the room is. I cast Fireball. On the boyfriend? Or the ex at this point? In my opinion, it would have been so easy for him to just tell her about him. Tell her about this girl, you know? And if she freaked out, then she freaked out. But the fact that he didn't could have been like, oh, maybe I want something with this girl. Maybe I want to keep her hidden. Maybe we don't have anything yet, but we could potentially have something. And if that's the case, then I want to spend time with her, but I don't want, like, people to know, like, really, like, we're not doing anything, but there's emotional connection kind of deal, you know? Baroness. I'm thinking the Baroness from Deadlock. Hello, cat in a frog hat. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys pick what the next story should be. I'm gonna read some of the titles. I, 600-year-old M, am dating a 5,000-year-old F. Our clans are at war, and I took her clan's sacred flame for my own. She is no longer responding to my owl letters. Am I the asshole? I don't know what that is, Cambion. I think the 600-year-old M is the a-hole in this situation. Okay, I'm gonna read you some of the titles of the best of Redditor posts, and then you guys can pick which one you want me to read. First one. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband his name suggestions for our unborn baby is idiotic at best? All right. That one. Nope. Poor husband. Second one. My 21 male best female friend, 20 female, has made friends with her teenage bully, 20 female, and I'm worried about her. This is like... this is like... Bakugo and Yuzuku. It makes you angry. I don't know when the problem is when I'm reading these, I'm reading them like I'm going in without knowing what's going to happen. What? Why is this one? This one just says, in search of kid-friendly recipes, please. What? Why is that one on Best of Redditor Update? Go find the one where he named their kid Vriska. Ooh, confetti. Well, you have to look at what the update was. My 20 male girlfriend, 19 female, went into my phone and deleted my female friend's number, as well as blocked her on all my social media. She did this because she says I'm spending too much time talking to the friends whose mother died 2 months ago and whose... Dang, that's too much. My wife moved her friend in, and I hate it. Sinkbin, you need to get out of wherever you're at right now. Okay, those are our options for now. My wife moved her friend in, and I hate it. We have that one. We have in search of kid-friendly recipes, please. And then we have the... Am I the a-hole for telling my husband his name suggestion for our baby is idiotic? I want to hear the name one. The name one? Baby name? Okay. You guys are too curious to know what the name is, I bet. Original post. Posted April 14, 2022. Hello all, this has caused quite a stir on both sides of the family, and my niece suggested I post this here as to garner unbiased opinions. Unfortunately, it is relevant to the story. I will have to keep much personal information uncensored in this story. As such, this is a throwaway account. My 35 female husband, 37 male, and I are pregnant with our first child. We are overjoyed, and we have struggled with perceived infertility and miscarriages for the last decade. We want the gender to be a surprise, but may have to find out to settle this. I'm currently at the tail end of my second trimester. Now, my husband absolutely idolized his grandpa, who unfortunately passed away last week. My husband is devastated, especially about the notion that his children will never meet their great-grandpa, who their father adored so much. As such, my husband has suggested that we name the baby after Grandpa. Theodore if it's a boy, Theodora if it's a girl. Either way, we will call him either Teddy or Theothea, respectively. It's not that I mind the name. The issue is that our last name is Bound, pronounced Bundy. So far, so normal. Oh, never mind. Ted Bundy. Oh no. I asked my husband, do you really see no issue in naming our kid Teddy Bundy? You don't think that would raise any questions? He said no, he's just honoring his grandpa. I told him he needs to think about how we will be perceived, how our child will be treated, and the implications that the name inherently carries. I literally had to spell out why that would be a horrible idea. And he still thinks I just hate his grandpa. I told him no, Grandpa was named in 1930 when the name Teddy Bundy wouldn't have been a problem. However, since certain events in the 70s and 80s, there's no feasible way he can give this name to our kid and not cause issues. He kept pushing and pushing until I blew up and told him to stop with the idiotic suggestion. And that's what it is. Idiotic at best, sociopathic at worst. He got extremely upset and told his family and my parents, who are divided. His family is obviously on his side and wants to honor Grandpa via naming the baby after him. My parents are torn, but on my side, as they understand the social Farah, we would make our child by giving them such a similar name to the person who did such a horrendous and downright evil thing to so many women. I mean, personally, I don't think anyone is going to assume that we are honoring a past loved one. They're just going to think of Ted Bundy. Am I the a-hole? Edit just to say that you guys are all proving my point that Ted Bundy is clearly still an infamous name. There has not been one comment that didn't immediately make the correlation upon hearing my last name. That is exactly what I don't want to happen to my child. Kids are dicks. And they're gonna find a way to be mean. Let's not just hand them the material. Edit 2. Bundy's full name was Theodore Bundy. That's where the problem is ultimately stemming from. When a teacher reads the name from the roll, it'll be Theodore or Theodora. They aren't going to assume a nickname. It's just going to be the full thing. Oof. Just change your last name too. What is this name? Seymour Butts. Hi! Who is the person? Ted Bundy was, I guess so. If you were a child, you probably wouldn't know it, but the parents would? Just name him Kevin and move on. He was a serial prankster in the worst awful ways. Thank you for the dehydration! The other kids would make sure you knew. If somebody... True. If it was like a older sibling or something, they'd like, his name's Ted Bundy, and then the internet exists. Actually, you know what? They'll Google the name. Have you when you were a kid, you Google your name, right? They'll Google the name, and then they'll find out instantly. Since we all have iPads now, they'll know immediately. Good night. I don't. If you Googled it, you would know. Not my child. No iPad. Didn't they recently make a movie on it? Wait, iPad Kids or Ted Bundy? Wasn't it with Zac Efron? Was Zac Efron Ted Bundy? Bundy? Yeah? Yeah. I think I watched that. iPod Superior. I haven't had an iPod in forever. Interesting. Unsurprisingly, OOP was voted not the a-hole. Top comments from the original post. Not the a-hole. Please do not name your kid, in effect, Ted Bundy. Literally ignore everybody encouraging you to name your kid Ted Bundy. Hi, Joey! Critical Pause says, not the a-hole. In this thread, it seems that people replying that she's the a-hole are not American or Canadian. To be clear, in America and even Canada, Ted Bundy is a widely known serial killer. He brutalized and R-word multiple people. There are so many movies, documentaries made about him. In the American education system, in some places, they learn about him in school. I didn't know that. This isn't a case where they would be naming their child a serial killer in a small town or one that's not widely known. Everyone would hear the name and immediately think of him. Regardless, wanting to name a child with a serial killer name, even if it's not widely known, is weird and not the best choice. There's many solutions to offering a way to honor his grandpa. Perhaps a middle name. True. A middle name would be good. Honey garlic and teriyaki wings, Diet Pepsi, yummy! Stinks that one guy ruined the whole name. It's true. Teddy is a good name. Awful that he killed it. Imagine getting into true crime. Oh no! Aw, thanks, Dandy's Lion. You could maybe be more gentle in your delivery. However, it seems he wasn't understanding and kept pushing, so perhaps he needed to be said this way. Jameson's dude says, not the a-hole. If your last name is Dahmer, you'd probably stay away from Jeffrey. I share the name of a famous athlete. In the state, he played college ball. When I was 8, he became famous. So I wasn't named after him, just coincidence. It comes with its own issues. Nothing too bad outside of people thinking I'm him, finding my address by typing my name into Google. Then they stop by my house. It's happened twice. I couldn't imagine having to share a name with a serial killer. Not the a-hole. Even if the name wasn't quote-unquote bad, in this way, it takes 2 yeses for a baby's name. 2. Even if you simply didn't like the name, your no means no. Wow. True. OOP's only comment on the thread. Max Scar said, you're the a-hole. You knew what that name meant to him, yet you came But you called it idiotic. That's hurtful. You could have just said it wasn't a good idea. To the point of the name, I think you're overreacting. Yes, the guy was a bad person. Yeah, he was a little worse than a bad person. But at this point, it has already been a long time. By the time your child is older, nobody's gonna remember that guy. It's just a name, and putting what strangers think over your husband is terrible. Hello, Jonas the Panda. Welcome in. Bad take, bad take. Go, go, go. Abort, abort, abort. Sound like the hedgehog, my child's name. True and real. Hello, welcome in. You were streaming music. Were you making music? That's cool. I cannot make music, but I wish I could. If I could go back in time and change something that I did, it would be to take music lessons. This is the name of the fictional character, but at least it makes it easier for people to pronounce my name. Oh, that's cute. My future child's name. I'm glad I'm not called like my dad, but on the other hand, I also ended up not called Joshua. Not my dad's name, just another name. Not called Joshua? I was actually just singing a bit. Oh, that's nice. It's being slightly tipsy. Did you win? I've never played CS2 or know what that is. Is that CSGO? Like that? That thing? All right. Update! And final edit. Posted around 4 days later on the same post. So I tried to make an update post, but decided to just throw my update in here. Meta Knight. True. Essentially, my husband stayed with his brother and sibling-in-law for a night, and they talked it out. His brother was also very close with their grandpa, so I think hearing the same logic from someone grieving just as much knocks some sense into him. They explained why he couldn't just name his kid Teddy Bundy, and especially because we live in the western US. In one of the states where he operated and was also caught, imprisoned, and escaped. I didn't even think it's legal. I don't even think it's legal to use that name. Can you? Can you make a name illegal? We spoke briefly on the phone before he came home, where I apologized for how rude I was when he kept suggesting the name. I explained, I guess, yeah, some names are illegal. Yeah, you're right. I explained that I was just stressed, and then he was seemingly overlooking just how bad it would be to have a kid with the same name as a very notorious serial killer. But I didn't feel listened to. He apologized as well, telling me that his grief was clouding his judgment and that he also understands why we can't give our child Grandpa's name. While we did want to keep the gender a surprise, we felt like we had to look at the ultrasound to help hash it out. We are having a baby boy and decided to give him Grandpa's middle name, Silas. Silas said my name like it. I like that song. Our son will have the name Silas Bundy. We've also decided to go through with marriage counseling as well as grief counseling for my husband. He's asked me to attend, and I'm sure I could learn how to be more compassionate about his loss. I was never too close with my grandparents, so I'm trying to be here for him, but can't empathize as well as I could. Aw, that's nice. And all in all, this worked out. Thank you so much for everyone who gave their opinions. You really helped us out there. This will be my final update. I'm going to be deleting this account as I've already doxed myself enough. And I've also been sent links to articles and videos that people have started using this story in. I've not been asked for any of them and just want to be off the grid now. Once again, thank you so much. This was such a wild thing that I honestly never thought would happen. But yeah, I'm so glad this worked out. Thank you, everybody. Ah, weed me to sweet. Good. True. If my last name was Bundy, I would change it. Or like try and make everyone pronounce it differently. Because the way it's spelt is like Bund. So I would like tell everyone actually it's Bunt. Or something like it's actually Bun. Ooh, happy Metopia playing. Okay, I really need to know what this in search of kid-friendly recipes. Why is this here? Bunt cakes, yeah. My in real name is so lame and common. I just let people call me the abbreviation, which sounds more femme. Oh, my name is extremely common. No. Everyone says it at least once a day, probably. Born on May 4th, he would have called me Jedediah because of May the 4th be with you. That's fun, though. That's a fun thing. Okay, in search of kid-friendly recipes, please. April 28th, 2026. This was this year. Wow. So I'm a stepmom to a 12, almost 13-year-old boy and would like to get him in the kitchen more with me. My husband and I have every recipe we've ever made together archived in a recipe box, which we plan on leaving to him one day. I would love to hear everyone's go-to recipes or kid-safe, kid-friendly ones. I'm happy to do the chopping, but if there's recipes that don't need knives at all, that would be great too. Thank you all in advance. Editor's note, OOP received lots of responses, listing some comments supporting OOP and Stepson. Some relevant/best comments. Commenter 1. Get the Betty Crocker Boys and Girls Cookbook. My mom had it as a kid, and I had it as a kid as well. Tons of easy recipes that don't involve dangerous kitchen equipment. Plus, that meatloaf recipe is the gold. You know what's smart to do, actually? I asked Reddit this once, like ages ago. I was like, I don't know where to start, and I feel dumb to be asking it because, like I know basic things, but, like, I miss a lot of basic things. It's like when you go to, what's that? There's like a tutoring company, Kudo. It starts with a K. But the way that they do the tutoring is they start everyone at the basics and they follow them through the basics until they reach a point where, like, okay, this is where you learned this wrong, and that's affecting this part and, like, way in the future. So we're gonna reteach you this part so that it will help you in the future, kind of thing. So that's what it's like for, like, cooking for me, I feel. Like, I know how to do things, but, like, probably not the right way. But one of the Redditor posts was like, look up this recipe book, and it's like a kid's recipe book. But it's like, it has so much information about everything. So if you ever are like not sure how to cook, or like really want to cook, or like are nervous about cooking, get like a good Betty Crocker cookbook and just read it. Commenter 2. And start with his favorite foods. That will help to keep him interested. Commenter 3. He is 12, an adolescent, not a young child. Unless there is a disability you may have mentioned, he should have the manual dexterity and language comprehension to make anything in your box, especially with your assistant. He almost certainly already understands that stoves are hot, knives are sharp, glass and ceramics are breakable, etc., and can probably already see over the top of the stove without needing a stool, which are the main concerns for small children. Starting with super simple things that are forgiving with respect to exact measurements, timing, etc. Spaghetti with jarred sauce and meatballs with a garden salad. Roasted chicken pieces with baked potatoes and sauteed vegetables. Grilled cheese and a can of soup. Then do stew or brace, paprika-ish and stroganoff or chicken and dumplings or even chili. Something where he sees that 4 hours cooking isn't necessarily 4 hours spent in the kitchen. What are some kid-friendly recipes? Replies, your kid should be smart enough to figure it out. OOP replied, thanks for the ideas. He's not disabled, but neither my husband nor his bio mom are super keen on the knife thing just yet. He does have a tendency to get distracted, as we all do. So I just don't want to cross any boundaries with them. Play-Doh. Commenter 5. Good for you for Wait. Commenter 4, find out what he wants to make and start from there. Commenter 5, good for you for trying to get him in the kitchen. Both my boys learned to cook and their spouses have appreciated it. Also good for you to respecting his dad and bio mom's wishes. This way of thinking will make his life and your life so much more pleasant. It also shows some respect. Great job, bonus mom. Bonus mom! Have you ever eaten Play-Doh? I have. OOP, thank you! It's an important skill to have. I spent a ton of time in the kitchen with my grandmother growing up. I couldn't wait to do stuff on my own, and thank you, we prefer as much peace as possible when it comes to that. Granted, I love cooking, and I'm not gonna be coming over to make him dinner every night once he's on his own, you know? You've licked it? Has everyone licked it? I've eaten edible Play-Doh. Isn't all Play-Doh edible? Yeah. Commenter 6, take him shopping. Let him pick something new to try and find a recipe to make it. Nobody's giving them any recipes. Where are the recipes? There's none. They're just ideas on what to do. That's not what they ask. I thought it would clog your stomach. Like when you eat gum. Take him shopping, let him pick new things. We used to go to fancier grocery stores and pick a bunch of weird fruits to try and get a little something nice for Dad when he gets home from work. We could definitely start that up again. That's fun. You could have him pick a few key ingredients he enjoys and would like to work with, and then find recipe options from there. Getting him involved in the whole process from the start can make him feel more like his meal than just following someone else's instructions. Chapter 9. At that age, there's nothing he can't do. Best way to get him to engage is to have a night that's his. He chooses the recipe. For my boys, pizza, tacos, and anything with potatoes is always a surefire way to get them in the kitchen. Smiley face. Your local library has a few kid cookbooks. True! Go to your local library. Update! So I'm the stepmom who was looking for recipes a little while back to teach her 12, almost 13-year-old stepson how to cook. And I have fantastic news. We had him for some time over Mother's Day weekend and we made strudels together. Aww. He's a natural in the kitchen and I could not be prouder. We've been very busy this weekend too. So far, he's learned how to make grilled cheese, watermelon soda. What? I want watermelon soda. Coconut milk fudgesicles, burgers, and corn on the cob. I showed him around the kitchen, taught him to never be afraid of any kitchen tool no matter how dangerous it seems. Just appreciate what it can do, respect it, and just be careful. Hi, Snacky-chan! I said, for example, the blender has super sharp blades to blend whatever you put in. I know those blades could hurt me if I touch them. I respect the blender is going to use those blades to blend and do what I need it to do for my recipe. I am just careful not to touch them. Little common sense will keep you out of most trouble. He said, oh, I have plenty of that. Perfect. He looked at our veggie chopper and said he was looking forward to using that soon. I said, well, I'm always looking for new recipes to make, so today won't be the last day we cook together. And he said, I hope not. This is so much fun. Aww. He requested we make cherry pie together today since I see we have pie crust mix and cherries. Am I the proudest stepmom in the universe right now? Nobody will ever tell me otherwise. This one's just a nice story. Also, bio parents agreed to nylon safety knives thanks to some suggestions I read on the last post, so he got to try out the set we bought him. He felt like a big deal having his own stuff and used it like he was born to do so. I told him in between weekends that he's here to think of recipes he'd like to try, or that he wants me to teach him. I feel like this is the start of something beautiful and my heart is gonna burst with pride. I admittedly got a little misty-eyed watching him chop up the watermelon with little to no guidance. I just told him to cut the green parts off and he went to town. Also, part 2, I had a legend planner cookbook notebook thing in the kitchen that I never used, so I started a food diary for him when he gets older. I wrote down all the funny things we talked about that happened while we made the recipes together, and I'm putting them in order we made them, making them with the date. Aww. I might only be stepmom, but I'll be danged if he's not gonna be able to eat well. Aww, that's so sweet. Lots of cutie patootie things. More comments saying you guys are so cute and this is nice. Oh my god, wait! Aw, there's a picture of the cherry pie they made! It just looks like a cherry pie. Sort of. Description of the cherry pie. A picture of a cherry pie in a clear glass pie dish, sitting in the center rack of the oven. Looks about to be done. There is golden crumbly topping covering the majority of the surface, with the cherries fully baked and warm glowing around the edges. Aww. Think been that sad. Okay, that was a happy story. Now we need something dramatic. I'm gonna scroll down really fast and then pick a random one. My house in the middle of the street. My house. You know that song. Yay! This one says long. Me, 25 female, with my boyfriend, 25 male, duration 7 months. My boyfriend is very jealous and keeps making quote-unquote rules for me to follow. And then it says long at the end of it. Fell hard for the first time. Me, 35 male, trying to deal with 24 male potential stalker. Uh-oh. My neighbor is vandalizing, quote-unquote, their side of the fence, of my fence, because it's facing them and therefore it's theirs. I'm gonna read that one. This was posted January 10th, 2020. This is really stupid, I swear, but I'm not sure what to do or if they're correct or what. I live in Minnesota. I own our house. In May, I had a fence put in, a 6-foot cedar private fence. It encloses my backyard and runs up my side of the yard as well. We had our property professional assessed. We had We had our property professionally assessed and marked where the property line is, and we put the fence on the property line. My neighbor has just recently moved in. Their backyard is fenced on 3 sides because all of his surrounding neighbors have fences. So the side we share is my fence, the neighbor behind him has a chain link fence, and the neighbor on the opposite side has a slightly taller chain link fence. The side of the yard facing the road is open. Okay. Driving home from work the other day, I noticed that he had painted all over the side of my fence that faces their yard. Not like all one color, but just painted random stuff. The kids, 2 younger kids, and one posh 13-ish. Posh or one close to 13-ish? Were let loose, and it's a mismatch of colors and pictures and whatever. And I'm pretty upset by this fence, as this fence was not cheap. I got home and asked the significant other what we should do, and then I went over to talk to the neighbor. The neighbors, as it turns out, are entirely psychotic. The husband answered the door in his boxers, and right off the bat was defensive. He stood there, chest puffed out like he was gonna fight me over it. I explained that I didn't appreciate him painting on my fence. I didn't actually get much further than that because he blew up at me, ranting about how since it's on the property line, the half of the fence that's facing them is their fence, and they can do what they want with it. The wife showed up at some point, absolutely hammered, and added to the chaos. I eventually bowed out and went home. Told the significant other that we should just let it go. It's just paint, and I know that if we have any extended negative interaction with the neighbor, it's probably going to be a never-ending headache. But now they're vandalizing it. It's being used as a backstop for what I think is a set of throwing knives by the young teenage boy, as well as an airsoft target practice. They're hanging screws and nails into it to hang targets and stuff. Paint is one thing, but the physical damage will shorten the life of the fence. I guess I'm just wondering I'm just wondering if what they said is true. I'm finding minimal info about it. It is on the property line, but the idea of the side facing them being their side seems really ludicrous, but I can also see that being a thing since it borders their yard. Can I file a police report for damage to property? Also, what legality do I have for cameras? A friend suggested putting up cameras, but since it's their yard and they have reasonable expectation of privacy, I don't think it would be allowed to do that. Do you guys consider your side of a fence your side of the fence? Or do you consider, I guess, like, hi, Pancake! Like, to me, I've always seen it as half-half, but I guess, to be fair, not one person installs a fence, you know? Like, when we moved into our house, there was just a fence there. Like, there's just a fence. And then every time somebody replaces parts of their fence, or if someone's replacing their fence, they only replace, like, I don't know. Like, they've replaced their part of the fence, but obviously it's not the entire fence. So, like, our fence, or my mom's fence at home, it's, like, mismatched of different fences because we're connected to 1, 2, 3, 4 different houses. And so one house, it's one fence. Another house, it's another fence. And another house, it's a different fence. And then the third one, it's the other fence. They're all the same height and stuff, but they're different kinds of wooden fences. Ideally, if my mom decided to redo the fence so it's all one fence, then it's kind of difficult. Usually what they did, or at least our neighbors would, like, talk to us and be like, hey, is this a good fence? Do you like this fence? It's gonna look like this on your side. Is that cool? And then we're usually like, yeah, that's cool. The other side is I think fences are usually completely on one side of a property wise. The other side is a really few fences, so it is your fence. You get 2 fences. Consider the fence as shared property that needs to be discussed. Yeah, shared property. The deciding factor would be who paid for it. You can paint your side of the fence, but if a speck of paint ends up on my side, I'm suing you. I think it's like, I think painting is fine. Like, it's like, whatever. You're painting your side of the fence. Like, I'm not going to be seeing that side of the fence. It doesn't really bother me. But when it's starting to use, like target practice, or things are starting to get beaten up, then it's affecting your side of the fence. Like, it's actually breaking. And then at that point, it's like up to the other person, the side that it's more beat up on, to repair it. But it doesn't seem like they're gonna repair it because they're that kind of person. Your neighborhood mod has arrived! Hello, River! But if I paid the full amount, I have a problem. That is true. If you, like, specifically paid for the entire thing and then, like... And it seems like this neighbor moved in after it was made. So, like, maybe this person had this discussion with the previous owner and was like, hey, like, I'm making this fence. How is it? Does it sound good? And they were like, yeah, this is good. Like, I approve of this. This is fine. I won't, like, paint it. And then the new neighbor came in and they just kind of... It wasn't mentioned because it's just kind of like an afterthought kind of thing, right? Bye, Sink Bin! They should fence over it. Okay, relevant comments. Congratulations, you're in a line fence dispute. Unfortunately, that means you're well outside of the competence of internet advice. The police are unlikely to get involved as fence disputes are generally civil, but you can try. If that fails, then speak to a real estate attorney about your options. You may be able to compel your neighbor to pay for half of the maintenance of the portion of the fencing separating their land from yours, and you may, depending on timing, even be able to recover half of the initial cost for that length of the fence. However, litigating against a neighbor is a good way to end up having to continue litigating against a neighbor, as it tends to mark the breakdown of polite negotiation. Yeah. Loopy Face says, even better, Minnesota has comprehensive, fascinating fence law. There's a position called fence viewer who settles fence disputes. OP, you're in for a treat. Wait. Minnesota! Chapter 344, Partition Fences. Oh my gosh, there's 20 sections for fences, fence viewers, exemptions, kinds of partition fences, expense equal shares, failure to build or repair rights of compliant, repair costs, recoverabilities, controversy, failure to erect or maintain, recorded division, party erectating more than share, lands bounded by stream, lands occupied in common viewers to fix. Oh my gosh. OOP replied, somehow I don't think it's the kind of treat that I enjoy. Someone replied, hey, what? I don't know. Okay, someone said, ooh, looks like you very well may entitled to your neighbor paying you back for what he believes is their half. He sent a link of the law. Party erecting more than share. If there is a controversy between occupants of adjoining lands as to their respective rights in any partition fence that the fence viewer decides that either occupant has volunteered. Jesus Christ. This is the longest sentence. This is a run-on sentence. This is not a good sentence. Why do laws and official documents have the stinkiest, worst, computing, awful way of writing things? Like, I don't understand a single sentence that just, like, a single word. Single sentence. There's only 2 sentences in this paragraph. The value of the fence must ascertained and recovered pursuant to section 344.05. As accordance to 344.09, party erecting more than share, it is stated that the party must do this and that and this. It is written, yeah, to avoid the loopholes, but it's too much. Someone replied, the important question that no one has asked is, where's the fence situation in terms of the property line? Did you get a survey for when you did the fence? Is the totality of the fence on your side of the property? If so, it would be no different than them coming and painting the front of your house and using that for a backstop. If it's on the line, then it's more of a nuisance. OOP says on the line. The surveyors mark the property line in paint, and we put the posts on our side. So they're digging into our side of the line, but the actual fence is attached to the 4x4s, such that it runs right along the property line. Tut, no loopholes. Yeah. You didn't place it slightly yet clearly on your side of the property line? OOP said no, which I'm starting to see was a real dumb decision on my part. My uncle said I shouldn't give them any of my yard by shifting the fences because of some law that says after a certain amount of time of that being their yard, it legally becomes their yard or something along. What the heck? Why is land so weird? Update! April 16, 2020, 3 months later. updating this post. So I got a lot of good advice. I was pretty not happy to realize that I'd probably be in for the long haul of BS, but ultimately decided to just see how much of a headache it would be to have to deal with. I did find a lawyer who I was prepared to contact. The first thing I did was contact the fence company, since that seemed nice and easy to start with. In my original post, it was suggested that because the fence posts are on my side, that makes it on my property. So I called and asked them. You guys, that fence company saved my butt. I told them what was happening, and they had me come in to talk to the guy who owns the company. It's a small family-owned business. He told me that the fence is entirely on my side. I said no. I asked for them to put it on the property line. He said he knows what I had asked, but their company policy is to not put fences exactly on residential property lines, and instead to shift the fence 5 inches off the property line. This isn't anything in their contract, on their website, or anything. He said they should have mentioned it to me when they did the install, but they don't like to because people get mad about it. Apparently, they had a situation almost just like this that they got tangled up in and just ended up starting to refuse to touch residential property lines because of the potential headache down the road. So, while I think I maybe have some opinions of just installing fences a few inches away from where the owners want it without telling them, I can't complain because clearly it worked in my favor. The property assessment people had put flags down on the property line and marked the corners with stakes, and while the flags were pulled, when I went out where the stakes were, the one at the back of the property and the one at the back corner was still there. It's real weedy and untamed. And he was right. It's just a few inches away from the fence. Oh, so he still has the flags where the property line is. So then wouldn't it be like outside the fence? If the fence would be like totally around, but it would be kind of tucked in. So those flags, he wouldn't have noticed the flags at all because they would be beyond the fence. And the fence would be blocking it. So I ended up filing a police report for damage to my property. I told the neighbors I would be taking them to small claims court. They did not like that at all. I told them that they can either pay for me to replace the panels that were vandalized as well as installation cost, or I'd go to court to make them do it that way. In the end, they paid. Of note, the wife was there the last time I went over. It's only the second time I've talked with her. She was sober this time and seemed pretty apologetic, even if her husband was not. Also of note, the son actually came over while I was in the front raking up winter lawn litter in the yard and apologized as well. He said his dad told him it was okay to use the fence and offered me money as compensation because his dad told him he would have to be the one to pay for some of it because he ruined it. With his targets. I have no idea why, because the new fence panels, 6 of them all in all, were already paid for and installed. I can only imagine his dad wanted his kids to be punished because he was angry. I'm not sure what is going on in his head. I was so mad. He almost had $250, which is a lot for someone his age, and offered it all to me. I ended up telling him to keep it, tell his dad he gave it to me, and if he came asking, I would tell him I took it, and told him that I didn't blame him for the damage or expect him to pay for it. He was surprised and ecstatic and said he was hoping to have enough for a PS5 when it comes out. I told him when the spring fully rolls around, if he's interested, I have plenty of yard work he can do to come earn the rest by the time holiday season rolls around. Aww. So, to bring us to present day, I have had no other interaction with the neighbors. It's been surprisingly peaceful. The neighbor kid came and did a bit of yard work before COVID rolled around and earned an extra $50. I told him lawn mowing doesn't violate social distancing rules, so if he'd like to do my yard when he does his own, he would be paid for it. Once it's nice enough for grass to grow. All in all, it was pretty successful. So thanks to everyone for the advice. You're all great. Quick edit to add because I'm getting a lot of PMs about it. Adverse possessions wouldn't apply. In my first post, it was gone over that the neighbors would have to be able to prove that they both have had the property for 15 consecutive years, as well as been paying taxes on it for 5, and be able to prove it, which they could not. I don't know. Property I guess there must be some like legal stuff, you know? Maybe they have everything, the entire areas like cut off for land by like exact exact inches and centimeters. I don't know. People are crazy about their property too. I told you guys the one time I went to the States and I saw a mushroom on someone's lawn while I was walking, and I just started walking on their lawn, and the friend I was with like grabbed my arm and pulled me off and said, "You can't go walking on their lawn." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "People don't like you walking on their property here. Like they will shoot you over it." And I was like, "What? I walk on everybody's lawn at home." You really don't like that stuff. And I was like, "I just wanted to see the mushroom." Meanwhile, here, you can have your dog walk up on anybody's lawn and poop in their yard and then clean it up. Crazy. They really don't like that stuff. I wonder why. Do you know why they're so touchy about property? Get off! Get off my land! Yeah, we're scrolling. This one? Maybe this one? What does TIFU mean? What's TIFU stand for? Today I effed up. Oh! Here in the UK, you'll get called a bloomin' idiot if you go in someone's front garden. Well, aside from being trigger happy, there's some real bizarre territorial behavior over their stuff. Oh. I'm gonna read this one. This doesn't look too long. Today I effed up. I thought a cute guy was ghosting me, only to find out I was actually ghosting him. That's sad. So this person thought that they were being ghosted by someone, but actually that person was being ghosted by them. It's like if you're waiting for someone to text back, but actually you're the one who was supposed to text back. Like, say you're like, you ask like, "Oh, when do you want to hang out?" And then maybe you opened up the text message at like midnight and you saw them reply, and then it read the message, and then you never tabbed back in because you were half asleep at the time that you read it and you missed it, and then you never replied, and it was like, it's been like months, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, actually, I forgot to reply. Gonna catch a mole 'cause he's Danny Phantom. Gonna catch a mole 'cause he's Danny Phantom. I was at a party 2 weeks ago where I only knew 2 people. When in walks this guy who immediately gave me this really big smile, and I thought he was so gorgeous. We ended up talking in the same circle, and he introduces himself. We start chatting and quickly find the circle around us has disappeared, and it's just us. He's so smart. His smile is outrageously cute, and I love how he seems laser focused on me instead of one of the many attractive women that have now joined the party and are talking about their cool Rhea dates. What the heck is a Rhea date? As the night wore on, I found myself talking to various different groups, but each time this guy would appear again, and we'd end up just talking to each other again. Someone who neither of us knew came up and said we made an attractive couple, and I realized somehow in the span of 2 hours we were already acting like a couple. It wasn't just being sexually attracted to him. I felt so comfortable around him, and he was so attentive to my needs. He gave her water. I told him offhand I had allergies to the dog at the party. Hours later, when I started sneezing, he immediately knew why and moved us outside. Yeah, because you told him. His smile was the thing that immediately caught my attention, but it was the thoughtfulness that made it so at the end of the night, we catch an Uber home together and end up kissing. Before the Uber drops him, I give him my number. Sunday comes along, I don't hear from him. Okay, I get it. We both got home at 4 a.m., and I too just want to sleep the day away. Monday comes. Silence. Tuesday, even more silence. I've read how this is how it is uncool to text a girl immediately because you want to seem super cool and wanted. But we're both in our mid-30s, and I hope to realize these mind games are BS. If you like someone, text them when you can. Life is too short to be with people half interested in you. They're 30. They're in their mid-30s. She's cooked. No! How romantic. He actually paid attention to the things I told him to. Wednesday comes and I'm a mixture of angry and over it and insecure all at the same time. How dare he lead me on like this? Well, I guess I'm glad I only wasted one night on this a-hole. Was I not pretty enough? All these thoughts raced through my head and colescated? Who the heck uses that word? Into me typing his name and workplace into Google to see if I can find him. Turns out he was incredibly easy to find. I was planning on just looking at him because I missed his face, but I accidentally clicked the link that brought me to his LinkedIn page. Yikes! Now he'll know that I stalked him, which made me feel even worse. I probably looked crazy. Well, since I was already on his page, I guess I'd look at where he worked. Maybe he really wasn't interesting, and I'd feel better about him ghosting me. Nope. Turns out he's not only very smart, but also humble because his resume listed a dozen different cool jobs, impressive schools he's attended, things he's worked on. Great, I probably wasn't impressive enough for him. Not 30 minutes later, he friends me on LinkedIn, but seemed surprised that I was reaching out. He had evidently texted me that night. And again the next day, only to not hear anything back. I had ghosted him. And this is how we found out my F-up. When I gave him my number, turns off I was off by a digit. Well, you weren't ghosting him then. Turns out Tipsy me isn't so great at typing or proofreading. If I hadn't been a creepy LinkedIn stalker, it could have been months, if ever, before we had seen each other again. Right now we're laughing about it and setting up our first real date. Wish me luck, Reddit. TLDR, thought a cute guy was ghosting me. Turns out I gave him the wrong number. Fixed my F up by using my cyber stalking skills, and now we're going on a date. That's why you have to text well. Yeah, and that's also how people get accidentally stuck. You know? It's like weird now, right? If a girl gives you their fake number, they like and then they call. Or like if someone gives you a fake number and he's like, oh, let's just test it out, and then it doesn't work, then it's like, well, okay. But then I saw someone and they're like, give them your real number and then immediately block them. But I guess if they have your number, they can use different numbers as well to try and get a hold of you. It's complicated and confusing and awful all at once. Relevant and top comments. Commenter 1. I can't believe sliding into someone's LinkedIn DMs actually worked. Commenter 2. This story is straight up wholesome. Hopes it works out. If it doesn't, you're gonna have an amazing story to tell down the road. That's why you say sorry I didn't have enough minutes to text you. Oh my god, that's so funny. Wait. Do you not receive texts if you don't have enough minutes? Like if you give someone the wrong number and then it doesn't go through, then it's like, oh, that sucks. I don't have enough minutes right now. Who even uses minutes? People who are on a budget. Use your annoying classmate coworker's number. I think so. It's been a lot of time since I used minutes. Am I privileged? Yes. August 17th, 2023. 1 year later. Update. It's update 1. There's multiple updates? A year ago, I met a cute guy at a party, accidentally gave him the wrong number, and then found him again on LinkedIn. The last post stopped at the point where I had now given him my correct phone number. We decided for our first date to walk around a park near the city and then grab a drink. I was anxious as soon as the date was set. Besides the normal first date jitters, I also carried the secret that I had posted the story of how I reconnected with him on Reddit. Some 35,000 people had upvoted it. Thousands more had seen it. Didn't you end the first... Wait. Oh, no, they didn't. She didn't tell him about the Reddit post, just that they were laughing about the mix-up. Sure, follow me on Twitter. Do whatever you wish to do. I needed to tell him about the Reddit post, but I was scared of how he would react. He probably already thought I was weird for looking him up on LinkedIn. I had no idea if he would see me posting our story to Reddit as a breach of his privacy or attention seeking or just plain weird. I mean, he DM'd you after he saw that you were on his profile, so I wouldn't say no. The day of our date, I waited for him at the park fountain. When I saw him walking towards me, my heart skipped. I got made fun of in my last post for how much I complimented this guy's smile, and I don't even care. Seeing him smile made me immediately happier. It also made me even more worried that I had messed up even the possibility of us being a thing by posting our story for the world to see. We walked around the park and sat to talk under a pair of trees. It was a beautiful late summer day. I found myself holding his hand. Slowly, we headed to the nearby bar, and by this time, I was shaking. When I got my drink in hand, I took a few sips and the words tumbled out. I thought our reconnection story was funny, so I posted it to Reddit. I'd gotten maybe 20 upvotes or anything I had ever posted before this. Oh, I had gotten maybe 20 upvotes on anything I had ever posted before this, so I expected much the same. Then I started to get dozens of notifications from hundreds of people commenting on the post. A friend sent me the post because they thought I'd enjoy it. My sister called and asked if I had written it because she recognized my writing style. A newspaper wrote an article about it. The post had taken a life of its own. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He read it quietly. When he was done, he stood up, came over, and gave me a kiss. With that, I breathed the biggest sigh of relief. I learned he himself used it. Wow, they're mutual Reddit enjoyers. So romantic. And then he himself uses Reddit and thought the post was sweet. The rest of the date, we read the comments together and laughed. Later that week, he came over to my apartment and we cooked dinner together and talked more. Our conversation turned to the fact that neither of us liked casually dating multiple people at the same time. You casually date people? Multiple people at the same time? Is that... Wait, what? Is that a thing? So they're like not dating, but they're like, I guess, seeing people? Multiple people at once kind of thing? It's like when you're playing a dating simulator and you're keeping your options open and you're unlocking all of their lore points, and then at the end you get to decide who you really want to go with. Our conversation turned into the fact that neither of us liked casually dating multiple people at the same time. We didn't know exactly what this was yet, but we knew we liked each other. With that, it seemed we were dating. First few weeks of dating sped by, filled with apple picking, hiking, and many soup dumplings. I learned a late night karaoke, that he has a beautiful singing voice, and he learned that I definitely did not. I didn't max out my social link with Chi-chan, so I'm free to date Rise now. Need all the CG to get the good ending. Told a friend later that we were dating. She asked, yes, but is he your boyfriend? Evidently, in this new world of constant casualness, you could be monogamously dating just for the fun of it, but becoming boyfriend or girlfriend meant you saw this person as someone really important. In previous relationships, I had felt like I was supposed to wait until the guy said he wanted to be with me, and it would look desperate to say I love you before the guy did. This relationship felt different. There was no feeling that he was texting me. I don't know the dating scene at all, apparently. The dating scene these days. Maybe it's just straight dating, though. There was no avoidance of talk about the future. It just felt like two people that were enjoying learning about each other, which in turn made me feel comfortable being open and honest. So after 6 weeks of dating my maybe not to be my boyfriend, I wrote my feelings down on a card and asked him to be my official boyfriend, and he accepted. The rest of the year has been filled with adventures to foreign places where I proceed to get lost twice in a place after dark with no streetlights. Still sorry about that one, babe, she says in quote in parentheses. And many trips to the grocery stores that were thankfully a little less tumultuous. We've danced late into the night at concerts and cuddled in bed watching TV. We finished Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series. I've fallen asleep on his chest to the sound of pattering rain. My last thoughts at the brink of sleep that I have never felt so safe. We're in a fan fiction now. I've woken up next to him and looked over at his face that looks so young and relaxed in his sleep. But the hair that falls over his face already has some gray in it. Seeing it fills me with sadness that our time together on this planet is finite. Over the last year, he has shown in 1,000 small ways that he is not only a great boyfriend, but a thoughtful friend and a caring son. My friends and family love him, and that makes me love him all the more. He always makes me feel heard and seen, and he builds me up in a way that makes me feel like the best version of myself around him. He is brilliant and competent at his job, which is sexy as heck. He's serious enough to have his finances in order, but will still let loose and do silly little dance moves with me while we're cooking breakfast. I'm not making fun of them, but it's just really... He is very clean, so I have never once felt like I shouldered the burden of housekeeping. I'm actually messier than him and have put a lot of effort into being cleaner out of respect. Not once has he raised his voice, and throughout this whole year, I don't think we've gotten into an argument. This relationship feels healthy and happy and calm. I got a few comments from my last post that looking up someone on LinkedIn when they haven't texted is crazy. Please know that if he had turned me down in LinkedIn, I would have respected this and not contacted him further. It was just within a few hours of meeting this man. He felt inexplicably important in my life. I'm glad I trusted my gut to try and find him. This last part is to my boyfriend, who wanted to be surprised by what I wrote. Over the last year, you have become my favorite person and my best friend. I'm so grateful that I met you and grateful for each day that I get to wake up next to you. I can't wait to see what this next year brings us. I love you very much. TLDR, we're dating! I'm starting to feel... I'm diabetic now. Update 2. 2 years later in engagement rings. Help me find the ring of my dreams. Hey there, my fiance. Actually already asked the question, but we didn't want to tell the others until I have a ring. It's totally my fault since I am both picky and indecisive, so I'm hoping you'll help me. Wants. 1. White gold. 2. Pav, preferably with millgrain on the edges. 3. Tapered cathedral setting, preferably lower set. 4. Lab oval diamond, around 1.5 carats. Excellent cut and has close to colorless as possible. 5. 1.8 to 2 mm band. 6. Prong style. 6 claw style prongs around the diamond. Does anyone know a jeweler that can help me in the NYC area? Ideally, I'd love to my budget to stick around $3,500, and I'd love to work with a smaller jeweler if possible. I didn't know there was so much to rings. I mean, as a jeweler, yeah, there would be so much to rings, but I didn't know unjewelered people would be so like, I want it to be this thick with this thing and this thing and this and this, and yeah. For me, I look at a ring and I'm like, oh my god, it's so cute. Update 3! 2 years later. Name nerds. Yeah, me neither. If it was like a really, 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 really cool ring, like, do you know oh my gosh, what were they called? There was this brand and they did like jewelry, but it was like anime inspired. I have like a Sakura necklace from them. The Cardcaptor Sakura necklace. Their stuff can get expensive, but they're really pretty. Guys, my husband and I are expecting a little boy in a few months. And the only name we both seem to like is Kason? Kassin? It seems the only meaning it has is Greek for hollow or vain. We just like the way it sounds. We both live in America. I am white and Jewish and he is Chinese. Commenter 1. Kassin? Keeson? Kingdom Hearts ring! Cute! Aww. OOP confirmed to me in DMs that she's married to the same guy from the first post and that her son is now 1. Aww, guys. They lived happily ever after. This is what finding your soulmate looks like, I guess. I do think that there is some sort of weird connection that can pass between people when they like make eye contact or smile at each other. Like it just like hits you. It's really weird. I wonder what it is. Maybe it's pheromones. All that fluff romance she wrote about, I'd be mad if they weren't together anymore. Update! He cheated on me. Hi, Frisky T! What? Oh. Some of these are tagged as suspected fake. Crying because I love him so much. Sad. That's sad. Am I the a-hole for not including my fiance's sibling-in-law in our wedding? Is that what that is? S-I-L? Is it sibling-in-law? Came here because someone was spamming your YouTube chat. Oh no! Well, welcome here. Sister-in-law. Oh, sister-in-law. Oh. Oh wait, this is ongoing. No! I want it concluded. Hi there. Okay, we're gonna read one more. It's been 2 hours already. We're gonna read one more and then I'm gonna play Deadlock to just to close it off, you know, retain some little thing. We need to find a really juicy one. One that's like titled long. You owe Abby $30? Why? Did Abby say, I bet Nono's gonna play Deadlock after this? So I stole a cat. Final updates. This one's not very long, though. I paid you $30 to hate Deadlock. I can hate Deadlock and still play it. Oh, Cat Advice found him crying on my porch in the snow. I got scammed. No, you didn't. I put that $30 to use somehow. I don't know how exactly, but it brought me joy. And isn't that what Deadlock is all about? Giving other people joy. Sorry. I just saw... Not a great title. As long as you're happy, yippee! This is not my dimension, and I'm afraid I'm asleep. 8-year update. Should we read that one? That one sounds a little crazy. This one sounds a little cuckoo. Let's see, trigger warnings. All right. Maybe? Okay, I'm gonna kind of peruse it just to see. Because I think it's less glitch in the matrix and more depression. Whoa, there's a really big update to it. I almost thought you muted there. Yeah, I went really quiet all of a sudden. Okay, it does look like this isn't a glitch in the matrix, but now I want to read a glitch in the matrix story. I want a good... What's that? Guys, do you know that site that, like, people can write fake articles on, but it's, like, published like it's real articles, and they're all, like, really sci-fi and freaky? Is it called that? Yeah! Pride Fest! Nice. Featured tale. Whoa. FRM 9668. Oh. I'll keep that open. We're gonna read a different story because that wasn't glitch in the matrix enough. Am I the a-hole? Let's find it. Let's find a... We want a crazy one, but we don't want, like, a depressing one. You know what I mean? Oh. Your favorite one? Should I read it? My boyfriend can't use any bathroom besides the one in our apartment, and he thinks this is normal. What? Why can't he... Is this like the poop stick one? There's like one poop stick copy. You don't know about the poop stick? Good. You should you should read it though. My boyfriend can't use any bathroom besides the one in our apartment. Update for my boyfriend can't use any bathroom besides the one in our apartment. Oh, I got the spoiler. Wait, where's the actual point? Can't find it. What? My 24 female husband, 23 male, faked fainting after I gave birth. Why would you fake faint? Huh? Original post, May 8th, 2025. My husband and I have been together for 5 years. I want to start by saying that despite his quirks, my husband is genuinely sweet and hardworking. I believe he loves me deeply, tries his best, and always dreamed of being a husband and father. That's why this whole situation has left me confused and conflicted. We got pregnant a bit sooner than expected, though it wasn't entirely unplanned. In the first trimester, I was lucky to avoid nausea, but the fatigue hit me hard, especially during my final university exams. I had to nap for 1 to 2 hours every afternoon just to function. This sounds like me normally. Do people not nap? At the time, we didn't know this kind of exhaustion was normal pregnancy symptom, and I was so focused on school that I didn't think much about it. Meanwhile, my husband quietly started resenting me. He thought I was being lazy because I wasn't keeping up with the housework. She's pregnant! Which, except for dishes, was mostly my responsibility. Thankfully, a friend asked if I'd been hit by the tiredness and explained that it's important I rest. He seemed to understand, but I guess it bugs me that, faced with his wife being utterly exhausted, his first reaction was to think of me as lazy and be annoyed rather than concerned. Throughout the rest of my pregnancy, his attitude felt off. Weirdo? He would get annoyed by what I thought were simple requests, like bringing me water before bed, and complained about the size of my pregnancy pillow. While he always apologized later on if I let myself get sad about it, I felt like there was something he wasn't saying. Friends told me to enjoy the pregnancy pampering, but I didn't experience any of that. He treated me the same as before and seemed irritated when I couldn't keep up. Oh my god. I hate the prego pillow. Should we kill that guy? Why did you hate it? Was it taking up too much of the bed? It took up the entire bed. Get another bed! Simple. Easy. So was the baby. And so was Abby's organs. Think about that. Think about that. He would go. Wait again. Despite everything, I had a fairly easy pregnancy physically, and emotionally I responded very well to the crazy levels of estrogen, making me quite happy and hopeful. I stayed upbeat and tried to be as pleasant and positive as possible. During this time, he started getting really into these men's experiences during pregnancy podcasts and would vent about how no one considers what fathers go through, which I sympathized with. Then came the birth. After a long and sleepless labor, I needed an emergency C-section. I gave birth around midnight, and since partners couldn't stay overnight, he went home. I stayed awake with our newborn for a fourth night. They're not allowed to stay when their wife is pregnant? Since partners couldn't stay overnight, he went home. I stayed awake with our newborn for a fourth night in a row. When he returned the next morning, he told me he had fainted on the way home, showing me how dirty his jacket was after falling. I was concerned, but I was so depleted I could barely process it. This was last year. During our hospital stay, he brought food and held the baby while I slept, but his attitude still felt annoyed. I chalked it up to stress. Then came the newborn phase. Our son was colicky, and I was exhausted, and we argued constantly. I couldn't be my usual sweet self, and I desperately needed emotional support. He, on the other hand, seemed to want sympathy too. At one point, it had been 5 days since the baby had a bath, and he inquired of me annoyed. I didn't turn on my filter and said, "Why don't you give him a bath then?" He responded with that he didn't know how and was upset I told him to Google it. I don't know how to bathe my child. He felt overwhelmed working 3 to 4 hours a day and microwaving meals twice daily. So researching baby baths was apparently 2 months. I ended up taking our baby to all his appointments alone because my husband looked so irritated when tired nurses started asking questions. Or irritated and tired, I think they meant. I could say a lot more, but here's my main concern. Recently, we revisited the topic of my pregnancy and our son's birth. I told him I felt unsupported during that time. That's when he confessed that he lied about fainting after the birth so I would feel bad for him. The thing that he said in passing and that she was like, oh, no, that sucks. Here's our child. He apparently only slipped on the ice. He felt ignored and unimportant during the pregnancy. Every time he talked to friends, they told him to focus on supporting me, and he started to feel invisible. While I understand the desire to feel seen, to lie about something like this when I truly needed support feels deeply hurtful. I explained that being a supportive partner is not meaningless. It's actually a vital, powerful role. He was remorseful, but I don't know if this is expecting too much for him. Well, sir, you aren't pregnant, so... Yeah, you're the provider. I bet his podcast didn't tell him that. Things are better between us today, but honestly, I don't think I want him with me the next time I give birth. He wasn't even with you this time. Does she mean I don't want him here for the 9 months I am pregnant? Is that what she's saying? I feel like it would be easier to mentally prepare for doing it alone than to split my emotional focus between giving birth, the baby, and managing his feelings again. TLDR, my husband lied about fainting after I gave birth to our son. I felt unsupported, but I am scared I am putting too much pressure on him. How do we move forward from this? Wow. Relevant comments. First off, I don't think he tries his best. I think you're giving him too much credit by claiming he is doing so. He is failing as a father and a husband. He knows this, and he does not even care to know how to clean his own child. How do you not know how to clean a... Oh my god. The man you described in the first paragraph sounds like a fantasy you've superimposed over this unsupportive lying Jack. A. Commenter 2. I'm also really curious about the work dynamic of this relationship. He works 3 to 4 hours for workday? Is the OP the breadwinner? Part of me hopes so, but that would make it much easier to leave this. Butt face. These people have descendants now, it's right. He is the breadwinner. After his 1-weekish paternity leave, he took half the day off to support us for a little while longer. Quote-unquote support. Now he's back to working full-time from his home office. I wish to be a stay-at-home mom. He does the dishes, cooks 2 to 3 times a month, takes care of our dog, and helps with the baby when he has time. OOP on her husband's work schedule and how much he has been helping with their baby. Well, his work schedule is kind of wacky because of across-the-sea clients. We wake up at 8 to 9, sometimes he lets me sleep in for an hour, sometimes I let him sleep in for an hour. I am a morning person, so I usually have more energy for the baby in the morning. We eat brunch together unless I have errands to run, which I would bring the baby for. He does the dishes while I do chores if the baby is happy playing on the floor or napping. He then works from 12 to 8 while I juggle baby and whatever else I can manage that day. I usually start prep dinner at 5:30. We have dinner break at 7. No, wait. What is this? 5? Wait, it's 2 o'clock. I start prepping dinner at 2:30. We have dinner break at 5 to 6:30 when he takes the little guy while I finish putting on dinner. Then he goes back to work, but he usually does the baby routine. 20 minutes at 8, but I have to nurse him to sleep. That's when we get some time together. 9:30 to 11:45 when I go to bed, and he finishes up his work, feeds his dog, and usually your dog gets fed at midnight? Jeez Louise. He usually joins me in bed at 1:30 unless he has a lot of work left. Or at 12:30 a.m. Commenter 3. Every one of these starts with, I just want to say that my hubby is generally awesome and super supportive. And then it's paragraphs of how also awful, unsupportive, selfish, and mean the husband is. I think it's almost second nature for us to want to see our partners as bad people, because why would we be in a relationship with bad people? But your husband isn't nice. He wasn't caring. He isn't supportive. You have a valid reason to feel like he wasn't there for you. OOP. Well, I think everyone has some bad and some good in them, and it's our responsibility to train ourselves to do the right action and to draw out what's good. This is easy to do when life is calm. A calm summer day. The real challenge is when things get tough. We are like a cup of coffee. If you bump into it, some coffee will spill out, and the hot coffee burns you. What if it's a cold cup of coffee? What if it's an iced coffee? When life bumps into us, some of our core spills out. For me and my husband, our spills have both been too hot to handle, and therefore we quarrel. If one of us had a cool spill, our temperatures would even out. But seeing how what's a hot spill and a cool spill? What's the difference? Seeing how these events seemingly have been afflicting me harder overall, I wish he would have evened out our temperatures. One of my biggest flaws is that I have no sense of self-preservation. I just push on through everything, and this makes it too easy for a slightly emotionally immature guy to understand the need to reflect and anticipate over his own response to be a big bump from my life. Anyway, most people lose sight of the sun in the midst of a storm, and all they can talk about is the storm, even though they logically know the sun is behind all of it somewhere. Last summer, I was able to write down 40 great things about my husband in 3 minutes, but right now, I can't recall a single thing. Oh. My dismay at his current behavior has temporarily colored all my feelings towards him at the moment, even though I know the list of things he does well is still true. The difference is that I didn't state clearly enough that he has shown remorse and is willing to change. I'm just annoyed that he wasn't able to be insightful enough to see how his behavior was unacceptable from the start and change sooner. OP clarifies on the meals per month. There are 70 to 90 meals a month. For confusion, I wasn't clarifying, haha, we eat twice a day, brunch is usually leftovers, or I make myself porridge. I was mainly talking about dinner. We eat leftovers 2 times a week for dinner and cook for the remaining 5 days. He cooks almost 1 dinner a week or so, 3 out of 20, which given his work schedule, which I also should clarify is currently 8 hours, if not more, is fair. Update! Over 10 months later, what do you guys think? Do you think everything sorted out and the storm clouds parted and she saw the sunshine and all the wonderful things about her husband that she wrote down but she can't remember anymore? Divorce! Divorce for sure. All right. It's been almost a year, so I thought I'd give an update in case anyone is wondering. First, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment, message me, or simply read and reflect on the post. When I wrote the original post, I was in very poor postpartum mental state and felt lost and extremely lonely. Seeing people even care a little about me made me feel less alone and reflect more on my self-worth. I also want to mention that I don't think I properly explained our situation or what my husband was doing all day. I left out some details to keep the original post short and readable. Both my husband and I were incredibly sleep deprived at the time, and I wasn't even fully aware of or able to process how difficult our situation really was. Our son had colic and needed to be fed up to 15 times a day, exclusively breastfed, and held almost constantly day and night. We slept in shifts, but neither of us were getting proper sleep. In our country, the cause behind colic is never investigated unless you pay out of pocket and go to a private hospital, so the nurses and doctors brushed us completely off. There is also a misunderstanding about my husband's work. The company he works for is stingy with hours. He has to report his active work in 15-minute increments and only gets paid for those. Huh? However, because of time zone differences, he spends a lot of time prepping for work and staying available for messages. Because he was often hovering around his computer, I felt like he was working and unavailable to help 7 to 11 hours a day. In reality, that usually added up to only 4 to 5 hours of paid work. In between tasks, meetings, and waiting for messages, he would do dishes, take care of the dog, grocery shop, and change diapers. On top of that, we were also dealing with visa troubles, a mistake the immigration department made, which meant we had to spend time and money on lawyer visits, reapplying and gathering documents. That said, this doesn't excuse his behavior. That is a lot happening. The response to the original post turned out quite the choral demand of divorce. So let me start off by saying we are still married and things did indeed work out. No divorce. A few days after I made the original post, one of our fights escalated to the point where I left to stay at my grandma for a couple of nights. That seemed to trigger my husband to realize he could potentially lose us. About a week later, he found the post and confronted me. How does he find? I'd never understand how people find these posts. Like, where was she posting this in? She posted this in relationship advice. So this guy was actively going through relationship advice. Maybe he was going on Reddit for relationship advice to figure out what to do with his wife. And then he found this. Initially, he was very upset because he felt completely misrepresented, but it also led him to reflect on himself. We spent a lot of time talking about our relationship, reading relationship advice and books together, praying together, and reflecting on the past. Around the start of summer, we all started sleeping a little better, which made us more functional and relaxed. Good sleep? Crazy what it can do to you. He understood that if the way I described things in the original post was truly how I viewed him in our lives, then he needed to change, and slowly he did. We also moved to a quieter environment, and as I started to manage motherhood better and regain some brain capacity, our communication improved a lot. One of the biggest changes for me after having our child was realizing that I no longer had the capacity to manage or be responsible for my husband's emotions. He's responsible for himself, and I stopped making excuses for him or making up for his shortcomings or shove everything under the carpet like my family tends to do. In other words, I became much more blunt in our conversations and stood up for my opinions more clearly. This helped us establish our expectations, how we viewed and showed love, and how we divide work and responsibilities within our marriage. At the same time, he learned that his goal shouldn't be able to keep the peace at all times and avoid tough conversations in order to spare my emotions. To add more context, he was also dealing with a pretty serious depressive episode and he was hiding while I was pregnant. He was hiding while I was pregnant. At the time, he was actually working around 10 to 11 hours a day, which contributed to him building up resentment towards me and struggling to show compassion or affection. Even though this year has probably been the most difficult year of my life, and I grew up severely neglected for reference, it still feels worth it in the end. Now he is a great dad and husband. He gets excited about our child's milestones and growing interests. He lets me sleep in when he can, takes the brunt of the night wake-ups, helps plan and prepare baby meals, and makes an excellent effort to be thoughtful and considerate. He really tries to listen to me, and he feels much more like the man I first met and fell in love with. I'm still struggling with low self-worth, and I still find it hard to ask for simple favors. I think, however, discovering Mr. Rogers while watching it with the kiddo has actually... Good giving your children Mr. Rogers and not Coco Melon. And while we still quarrel, all of our arguments tend to resolve calmly and in a timely way. After the long visa dispute and all the immigration lawyer and application costs, we unfortunately don't have the money for individual therapy or couples counseling right now. But it's something we both want to pursue as soon as we have a bit more financial stability. Anyway, thank you for reading. I'm still open for advice if you have any. Is this marriage salvageable? Why are you asking if the marriage is salvageable? Do you have doubts still? Despite writing all that, you still have doubts? Commenter 1 says, I think you did salvage it. Yeah, though. There's a lot of comments, a lot of long comments. Divorce? Divorce? Most people are saying don't have another kid until you get some counseling. Go to marriage counseling before you have more babies. I think if you have doubts, yeah, if you have doubts after it feels like you got over a huge, like something that would make or break a couple, right? Like if you can get past that and feel good about that progress, then I think you're pretty good to go. Something cuckoo crazy must have happened. Mom finds out husband named their baby after an anime character. That's what Laggy sent me. If it's not from My Hero Academia, I'm disappointed. Oh yeah, I want to see who the voice is. 1 second. Not the voice. The name. What is the name? I'm gonna skip to what the name is. Oh, Friska. Is this real? Technically, that's not an anime character. It's a webcomic. Oh, guys, I'm sorry for the title. I can't change it. I meant to type comic, but I guess I had anime stuck in my head after the waifu mention. After a comic character. Imagine your one chance at life and you're named Vriska. How long did it take for them to realize? Okay, let's just read it. We'll read it and then we're good. A mom finds out husband named their baby after a comic book character. Or a web series character, technically. Trust me, I know this sounds ridiculous, and if it wasn't happening to me, I wouldn't believe it either. So I work in childcare, and recently we enrolled a new baby named Vriska. Now we are encouraged to build a rapport with the parents and to talk to them about shared interests whenever possible. So I often talk to some parents about nerdy things or others about fashion and makeup, etc. When I met the mother for pickup, I told her how cool it was that her child was named Vriska, even though I personally don't think it's cool to name your children after your fandoms, and I wasn't about to say that. And told her that I also loved Homestuck, thinking it would be a very quick way to build rapport. The mother looked genuinely confused and asked me what Homestuck was, so I told her it was a comic and one of the characters was called Vriska. But sensing the awkward air, I quickly said, "Oh, never mind, it's probably a coincidence, don't mind me, haha." But I was confused because I'm sure the name Vriska didn't exist before Homestuck. She proceeded to tell me that Vriska was a cute original name her husband came up with from the word Vrishchika, which is Hindi for Scorpio, but that's also straight up Homestuck Vriska's name origin. Apparently, he went so far as to create a fake paper trail of his research and showed her books and sites on the word Vrishchika so she'd believe him without looking into it. She's one of those crystal and astrology types and was gushing about how thoughtful he was because he's not into her beliefs and he thinks they're stupid, so it was such a sweet gesture for him to go into so much trouble researching a name that aligned with her beliefs, and I'm just nodding along politely because I'm internally losing my mind. Long story short, she came back to pull baby Vriska out of the program because she's moving in with her parents and personally thanked me because she Googled Vriska and now her ex to fess up the whole truth and basically what he really loved, that he really loved the character Vriska and that she didn't know about it because that love was of the waifu love rather than the I relate to this character love. So as you can imagine, she was furious and decided to leave her husband for lying to her, among other things. I'm honestly guilt-ridden that I directly shattered a marriage, and now baby Vriska will suffer because of this, which is why I think I could be the a-hole. I don't know the whole story. Maybe he's a really good father, but I also think maybe I'm not the a-hole because who wants a husband who quite frankly sounds manipulative and insane? I'm so torn over this because my friends think I did the mother a favor, but my family and coworkers can't believe I broke up a marriage over a simple name. So Reddit, what's the verdict? Update 5 weeks later. So my original post was removed by the moderators for breaking Rule 7 and not having interpersonal conflict. That's my bad, and I apologize for not fully understanding. But I got a really big response, and the comments really helped me, so I thought I would make an update post for those curious. What the heck is rule number 7? It's the second time I've seen it today. Since I can't update on the group, I thought I'd make the update here for anyone curious enough to click on my profile. First of all, got a lot of this is fake comments, and once again, all I can say is, buddy, I wish this was fake, haha. The mother came back today to finalize things. I can safely say that baby Vriska is no longer Vriska. The mum was able to apply for a change of name as she was less than 12 months old, and because she went to court and had a lot of evidence in her favor, it went smoothly enough. She also told me he did know that she would eventually realize the truth, but had researched the 12-month rule in changing your baby's name, and apparently his plan was just hoping to wait out the time limit. It would be too late to apply after a year, and with COVID and them not seeing anyone because they isolated strictly, his plan was honestly working until I came along. Holy. Vriska is now named Artemis because she still wanted a Scorpio-based name because she wanted to take back power after what her ex did to her. He hates the new name, by the way. Plus, apparently, she had been calling Artemis Vrissy this whole time, and she transitioned into calling her Missy. Hopefully Missy will stick because while naming your kids after mythology is more acceptable, I still think the kid'll be bullied. I don't know, not my place to judge. So she and baby Artemis are going well, living with her parents while she's still sorting out the divorce. She's also aiming for full custody, and from the sound of it, she's confident she's gonna get it, and I'm happy about that since, as the mother stressed, it wasn't the name that caused the divorce. It was the lying and manipulation. She didn't feel safe after she realized the lengths he could go to get his way. This was a wild one. I'm going to go lay down. Photosynthesis. That's crazy. He must, like, to do enough research to be like, all right, logically, I can get away with this. I can do this. I can name my child Vriska, my waifu. Lucas, mwah! That's too much. That's too much. It's funny because if she's a crystal lady, calling them Artemis is also technically like a kind of crazy name to name your kid, but because it was compared against Vriska, it doesn't seem as crazy. It's like, isn't Artemis like... twin sister of Apollo? Bow and arrow. Artemis. I guess Artemis is kind of like... I know people named Athena, so... I mean, Athena is a god name, a goddess name, and there's people named Athena, so... Artemis, it's kind of different, but also, like, Athena exists. Athena, Athena, goddess of the arena. Something, something, Athena. I'm sleepy, you guys. I didn't have a good night's sleep, and I forgot to get, what did I forget to get? I forgot to get What's the mineral water, but non-mineral water? Distilled water. I forgot to get distilled water for my nose thing, my CPAP machine. So I'm really sad. Guys, do you guys watch Alien Stage? Any Alien Stagers? Alien Stagers? Did you see? Vivinos posted a new thing. We're gonna get zombie stage now. Exciting, wonderful, cool, amazing. I'm excited. It's gonna come out later this month. The way that they're establishing the like different AU is that in normal world they're a film club and they watch movies together, and each movie is like a different AU is what I'm getting at. What was I about to look up? I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. Ew, I just heard myself talk. All right. How do I log in here? Let me in, let me in. Thank you. Hello, Dan! Dan, I heard you were fighting Kafta? The Final Fantasy clown. Just to watch this stream, I really can't concentrate on one thing. It's rough, isn't it? That's why I have to stream. That's why I'm a streamer, because I can't concentrate on one thing at once. Ooh, I got another controller for my slug cat. Yeah, I'm blind prog group. A blind prog group, so I can't watch the world race. Oh, blind! You don't know what's happening. That's cool though. I was reading an active chat and asking why am I not paying attention to the stream. It's a hard knock life out there. For us. It's a hard knock life for us. Okay, guys, my eyeballs hurt. I think I read too much. Or maybe I'm tired. I mean, I already had a nap, so I know I'm not, like, tired. I mean, I guess I am tired, but maybe I'm thirsty. Maybe I have to drink water. Imagine. Imagine drinking water. Imagine drinking water. Ooh, not Daisy. Dunn got a new PC, and so he's gonna be able to stream VR more easily, and then maybe I can also stream VR with him. I'm thinking of getting, like... Maybe I'll just update the motion control things, like full body tracking on my throne, so I can do, like, cool things. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Whoa, wait, you can save stream streaks if you watch a clip, VOD, or stream in the next 24 hours to save it. Oh, so if you miss a stream, you can save your stream streaks by watching? That's cool, I didn't know that. Sick. I'm gonna tell Seren this so she can stream when she doesn't have to stream. You don't need to stream. And stream when you want and not break stream. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go take a nap. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go take a drink of water. Maybe flop about or something. Let's raid them because they're playing Deadlock. I want to play Deadlock again. I've been winning a lot, but then I did win the last game I played, but I played Mina and it was weird. Mina is like a weird character because when I verse Mina, I feel like she's like unstoppable, and then when I play Mina, I like suck until the very end. Actual water. Actual Wawa. Thanks for clarifying, Wawa. No worries, no worries. Guys, you'd be so proud of me. I've been getting better at doing parry. I've been getting better at it. I think I did it 3 times in the last 2 days. You proud? I'm also getting good at Page. Or maybe I was always good at Page and I just didn't realize it. I found a good build for Page, maybe? That's it? I don't know. Bye-bye, Laggy. Bye-bye, Silver. Bye-bye, Dan. Bye-bye, Jay Sizzle. Bye-bye, anyone else who's lurking about. I love you. I'll see you not tomorrow, probably, but on Monday? What will we do on Monday? Dead Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky on Monday. And you can play with me if you want. Maybe Deadlock instead. I don't know. Me? Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you for doing this Let's Read Reddit stories. Next time, I want to try doing the Would You Rather. Because I think that's also a lot of fun and garners a lot of cool opinions. And easier to skip. You know when you do like Reddit stories, you're like reading, and then if you're like reading too far in, it's like you're already stuck. And you're like, well, now I have to finish reading it because I've already read this far, but it's kind of boring now. You know what I mean? But with Would You Rather, you can just be like, all right, next one. And then it's quick. Okay, bye guys! Remember, seeing the good in thing is a good thing. I love you. Enjoy your weekend. I love you.